The crowd stood on top of a tall hill. What surprised them was that the spatial crack behind them had disappeared, which meant that they were temporarily trapped within the White Tiger profound realm, and they must wait for 2 months until the big whirlpool opened again to get out of there. Of course, Xianxia had already marked a target point on the Luotian door. With his current strength, it would be very easy for him to escape from the profound realm. Where should we go? This profound realm is really big. It's the biggest profound realm I've ever seen, Lan Shan said with excitement. The killing intent and death aura were both heavy here, as well as the spirit chi, which was much denser than that in any profound realm he ever had seen before, which meant there must be a lot of treasures in it. There were over 100 people here, and they could be divided into several groups. Just as everyone began to search for groups, a gentle breeze suddenly blew out. Be careful. It is the tyrannical devil storm, Long Shui suddenly shouted. The tyrannical devil storm. Xianxia heard that from Bai Yuyu before. It was a natural phenomenon that frequently appeared in the devil world. It was formed usually at a place where killing intent, death aura, and spirit chi were very dense. When these 3 different kinds of intangible energies merged together, it would create a terrifying tyrannical devil wind. Xianxia also read about it in books. However, in the mortal world it was known as the death storm. It was a type of strong wind that carried a sharp saber-like astral wind, and wherever it went, any architectures would be razed to the ground. Any places that it blew out would lose all vitalities and shew a scene of death. The death storm is coming, Xianxia shouted out loud. Although the majority of the people here belonged to the Holy Light sect, there were also some magnates from other seas and the Qinwu continent. All of them were stunned as they heard the word, death storm. They immediately looked around, only to see that in the distance around them, clumps of black gas suddenly appeared. The black gas bared its fangs and brandished its claws, as if it was a demon, forming a huge black tornado that connected the heaven and earth. Waves of thick, black clouds also immediately covered the sky. Endless killing intent and death aura dispersed in the sky, like a curtain of death that came crashing down, causing everyone to be breathless. Junior Master, Gu Dongqin yelled and was about to extend his hand to grab Xianxia, but he was a step too slow. Everyone was pulled by an invisible force and dispersed. They were all sucked away by a strong suction force and swept into the huge tornado in all directions. Xianxia hurriedly urged the wind attribute energy in his body to fuse him with the violent and strong air current. This way, he would be able to barely control his body. In just a few blinks of an eye, more than 100 strong practitioners of the Nirvana realm had been sucked away to somewhere unknown. More and more huge black tornadoes appeared around them. Promptly, all the beautiful mountains and trees were sucked into the terrifying tornado. The entire place had become a sea of death tornado. At a glance, one could see that these tornadoes were like giant pillars that connected the heavens and the earth. This is really a tyrannical devil storm. Currently, only Xianxia was not sucked into the tornado. However, it was difficult for him to escape from the powerful suction force. His body could not help but float in a certain direction. The terrifying astral wind was like a sharp blade. If Xianxia didn't have the black tortoise armament armor, he would have been cut into pieces by the countless blades formed from the astral winds. Xianxia did not withstand for a long time before he was sucked in by the huge tornado with thousands of feet of width. His body was protected by the black tornado armament armor, so he did not suffer any damage. However, these winds contained all sorts of tyrannical consciousness, just like the howls of ghosts and wolves, wanting to drill into Xianxia consciousness and devour his soul. Now Xianxia knows why the person who came out would go crazy. After suffering such a mental attack, the person's consciousness would be devoured and he would inevitably turn crazy. Fortunately, Xianxia was cultivating the divine path, therefore his divine sense was abnormally strong. No to mention that he possessed magic force that was times stronger than the divine sense. He did not know how long it would take for the storm to stop, so he could only circulate the 9 revolving dragon divine technique to absorb the tyrannical spiritual energy from the tornado. Although the energy was extremely violent and filled with evil consciousness, it turned into a very pure spiritual energy being refined by Xianxia through 9 revolving dragon divine technique. That was also what Long Shui told him to do. This way, he could take the opportunity to cultivate the divine path, because right now, he had many spiritual powers ready for him to absorb. The storm lasted for 3 days. Countless giant death tornadoes whirled crazily as they moved quickly, leading the people to different places. When the tornado collapsed, there was a strong explosion of air, causing everything inside to gush out in all directions. Originally, Xianxia had discovered that there were several Nirvana realm practitioners in the same tornado as him. However, after that explosion, they were split up even further away. Xianxia was blown into a forest. Recalling how he was instantly thrown to this place by the power of the qi earlier, he could not help being emotional. Is this the power of nature? Humans are truly unable to contend against it. It was already very fortunate that he could survive. Now, Xianxia had to find Lu Menjie and Gu Dongchen first. All the people was scattered, and if Xianxia met Qin Zhejuan, Xiao Ziliang, or those people from the Fire God Shrine, he would definitely be killed. Damned. This white tiger profound realm is too terrifying. Xianxia cursed as he took out a talisman that Lu Menjie gave him. This was a communication spirit talisman. Could only be used once, while if Xianxia couldn't send a message due to excessive distance, then it would be a waste. Now he had only one of it. I hope Sister Menjie is nearby. Xianxia activated the talisman, which then ignited into flames. At the same time, he infilled his message into the talisman and delivered it out. In a desolate mountain full of tall hills, Lu Menjie was standing on top of a hill. Suddenly, one of her talismans started to move. She took it out her. Then the talisman bursted out with flames. She received the message from Xianxia, and at the same time she also knew which direction the message came from. Knowing that Xianxia was fine, Lu Menjie felt relieved. She let out a sigh of relief and flew off in a certain direction. Xianxia waited at the same spot for more than 6 hours before he sensed Lu Menjie's aura. They hastily leaped into the air and landed on Lu Menjie's jade lotus frisbee. Little rascal, I'm so worried for you. As Lu Menjie saw that Xianxia was safe, she hurriedly rushed over and hugged him tightly. Xianxia kissed her forehead and laughed. How could I die so easily? Lu Menjie let the jade lotus frisbee descend into the forest. Xianxia looked around with a mischievous smile on his face. He licked his lips and laughed. Sister Menjie, right now, there are only 2 of us. Without the presence as an empress, Lu Menjie coquettishly pouted. Her face was slightly reddish as she gently closed her eyes and started kissing with Xianxia. At this moment, Gu Dongchen was in a swamp shrouded in black fogs. While enduring the stench that made him want to puke, he yelled, "Junior Master! Where are you, Junior Master?" If Gu Dongchen knew that his Junior Master was hugging and kissing a pretty girl and enjoying the tender and flirtatious grace of an empress, he would definitely be angered to the point of vomiting bile. Xianxia greedily sucked the fragrant saliva in Lu Menjie's mouth and intertwined with her soft tongue. One of his hands unobediently moved onto Lu Menjie's breast and gently kneaded around the firm white rabbit through her thin white clothes. Lu Menjie felt her sensitive part being pinched by Xianxia, which made her tremble. Meanwhile, Xianxia's other hand was hugging her tightly, preventing her from escaping. At first, Lu Menjie struggled a little bit, but when she thought about how her relationship with Xianxia had already developed to this point, not to mention that Xianxia had seen her pair of beautiful rabbits before, she knew that Xianxia was enchanted by her proud, prided breasts. She sighed in her heart and continued kissing Xianxia. At the same time, she let out an extremely weak moan. This made Xianxia unable to control himself. Some part of his body had grown up, and his hand was unrestrainedly kneading the huge, soft rabbits, and kneaded it into various shapes. Occasionally, he would even knead that small tits. The wonderful feeling made him satisfied inside. He would like to keep knead those tits for a lifetime. Lu Menjie felt that Xianxia's body was getting hotter and hotter, and his force became increasingly larger. She knew that Xianxia was highly turned on at the moment, while she was worried that they would go overboard if they continued. She was not ready for that kind of things yet. Rascal, it hurts. Lu Menjie let out a soft snort and lightly patted Xianxia's naughty hand. Although Xianxia touched her body through her clothes, Lu Menjur still felt very shy. She lowered her head, with her face suffusing with an intoxicating red glow. She lightly said, "Humph. I allowed you to touch me while you made me feel so much pain. You really don't know how to cherish a girl." Xianxia held Lu Menjur in his arms and took a few deep breaths. He suppressed the evil fire in his mind. He also knew that they shouldn't go overboard, and he wanted Lu Menjur to follow him properly and not secretly give him her body. He felt that it would let her down. "Sister Menjur, I'm sorry. I can't control it for the time being." Xianxia laughed as he apologized. "You must have had enough." Lu Menjur snorted lightly as she laid in Xianxia's embrace, feeling the strong manly aura from his body. "Not really," Xianxia answered in honesty. He felt that it would never be enough for him to stroke her body. Lu Menjur pinched Xianxia's pectorals with force. "You little rascal, you really make me to worry about you. It's great now, since you've offended the fire god shrine." Xianxia stroked Lu Menjur's beautiful hair as he asked, "Did Gu Dongchen ask you back to tell him about the fire god shrine?" Lu Menjur nodded. He summoned all the powerful magnates in the Qinwu continent to discuss whether they should ally with the fire god shrine, but nothing came of it. In the end, we even made a trip to the king's continent. The fire god shrine is there at present. The fire god shrine invited us to go there. They shew their strength, and they are indeed very strong, especially those apprentices. Xianxia said, "The fire god shrine definitely has no good intentions. Right now, they are trying to rope people here in. It won't take a long time before many people join them. They still don't know that I have a fire soul. They used divine sensor to probe me as they saw me for the first time, but they didn't notice it. They are really looking for someone with fire souls. I wonder what the consequences will be if they find out." Lu Menjur was worried because her parents had told her to be careful of the fire god shrine. "Just keep hiding." Xianxia patted her back and said, "You don't need to worry about me. If I want to hide, no one will be able to find me." There were too many places that Xianxia could hide, and no one would dare to go even if they knew where he was hiding. Of course, it did not feel good at all to hide. If he had enough strength, he could kill anyone who wanted to take his life. Lu Menjur kissed Xianxia's lips and stroked his handsome face. She softly said, "Even though you're a little rascal, I still don't want to lose you." Xianxia suddenly pinched the pink lotus on her breast and said with a naughty smile, "With a beautiful girl like you, I must not die." Lu Menjur let out a groan and slapped away Xianxia's bad hand. "Let's find the white tiger divine weapon first. Now, take out your two divine weapons." Xianxia nodded his head and called out the azure dragon subduing devil saber. The august golden black tortoise armament armor also appeared on his body, making him appear to be extremely domineering and handsome, and causing Lu Menjur to be dumbfounded as her beautiful eyes flashed with splendor. The last time she felt complicated emotions on Xianxia was as he put on the black tortoise armament armor. Now she realized that she fell in love to him at that time. Lu Menjur laughed lightly. "Little rascal, you really looks like a man when you wear this armor." As she spoke, the vermilion bird string appeared in her hand, and the countless strands melded together and turned into a fluttering ribbon. As the three divine weapons approached, Xianxia and Lu Menjur immediately sensed that there was something summoning them from a direction, and that was location of White Tiger divine weapon. After finding out the direction, they were all very happy. They put away their divine weapons and advanced towards that direction. Flying in the sky is too eye-catching. This White Tiger profound realm is definitely not so simple. Right now, both you and I are being closely watched by the fire god shrine, so we better walk on land. Lu Menjur said, "Sister Menjur, can you teach me your frost wind divine exercise?" Xianxia asked because Bai Yuyu was very suitable to learn this divine exercise, and she was really eager to get it. "Of course," Lu Menjur responded. Xianxia and Bai Yuyu were both surprised that Lu Menjur could agree so readily. Both Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao were very joyful. Su Meiyao knew that Bai Yu would become even stronger after learning this divine exercise. Originally, she thought that Bai Yuyu must dissolute her ruthless devil exercise, but out of everyone's expectation that Xianxia opened up the knot in her heart. Then all her emotions and desires came back to her. However, she could not continue cultivating the ruthless devil exercise and could only use other powerful martial arts to make up for it. Remember this well. I'll tell you the chant. It's not much, but it's very profound. It's impossible to understand it without several thousand years of cultivation. Lu Menjie did not ask why Xianxia wanted to learn it, but she trusted Xianxia very much, not to mention that the vermilion bird divine exercise that Xianxia taught her was also very powerful and helped her a lot. Following that, Lu Menjie began to teach Xianxia the chant, while Xianxia also carefully memorized it. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu could both hear it. They could only remember it after hearing it only once. There were not many words in the chant, and Lu Menjie taught all of it within 5 days. For a divine technique, this was very rare. And during the process of memorizing the chant, there were many things that Xianxia didn't understand. The frost wind divine exercise was not suitable for him to cultivate, so he did not need to understand it. He knew that Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu could definitely understand it. Xianxia and Lu Menjie walked very slow. They speeded up their pace only after Xianxia learnt the frost wind divine exercise. After crossing a high mountain, they saw endless snow mountains in front of them. Those mountains were covered in white snow and filled with freezing cold, and the cold wind would blow over accompanied by a wave of cold killing intent. Suddenly, Bai Zhenjin, who was in Xianxia's Xian beast bag, let out a roar. "Master, I feel that this place is very amicable. I feel like I have a companion here." The companion of a white tiger was, of course, another white tiger. Could it be that a white tiger tribe resided within the white tiger profound realm? C483. The white tiger battle clan Xianxia took out the Xian beast bag and released Bai Zhenjin out. Lu Menjie was surprised as she saw Xianxia releasing a white tiger. She could tell that the white tiger was very powerful and would soon be promoted to a Xian beast. "Zhenjin, can you take us there?" Xianxia asked the white tiger with his divine sense. He guessed that the white tiger divine weapon must have something to do with the white tiger clan. It was very likely that the white tiger divine weapon was being protected by them. Bai Zhenjin nodded and said, "Master, don't worry. When you get there, I will ask them not attack you. The white tiger clan here thinks highly of their companions. You are my master, so they won't kill you, because I will follow you if you die." Xianxia was secretly worried in his heart. However, he still believed in Bai Zhenjin's words. "My parents might be here as well," Bai Zhenjin said with some scary, then ran forward. It was obvious that she missed her parents very much. Xianxia dragged Lu Menjie and flew away. Lu Menjie asked, "Looks like the Xian beast bag was created by me. I gave it to a goblin called Xianxia. How come it is in your hands now, and you even subdued a small white tiger within it?" "Xianxia brought me to subdue it. That was a long time ago," Xianxia said. "Heh. You actually have so many secrets with Xianxia," Lu Menjie said in jealousy. Then she asked, "At the last hero assemble, there were 2 powerful white tigers suddenly coming out. Did you bring them there?" "Yep, it was indeed me. Now this little guy really misses her parents. I hope her parents don't beat her up when the time comes," Xianxia said nervously. Lu Menjie frowned and said, "You rascal really got guts, that you even dare to subdue a small white tiger with such strength. This little white tiger must have an extraordinary bloodline. A white tiger that could reach the peak of the Nirvana realm definitely isn't an ordinary one. Even your crazy master has to be wary of that strength." Xianxia certainly knew that, but he wasn't afraid. In any case, it was the little white tiger that willingly followed him. Of course, the fact that Xianxia could subdue such a white tiger with pure and noble bloodline also shocked Lu Menjie. This kind of white tiger wasn't something that could be easily subdued. This little guy said there is a gathering place for the white tiger clan in the front. The white tiger divine weapon is likely to be there. No matter what, we have to check it out. If anything happens, be careful, Sister Menjie, Xianxia said. Don't worry. Lu Menjie was very confident in her own strength. Moreover, she also had a powerful divine weapon right now. She believed that vermilion birdstring could definitely hold off a large group of strong practitioners. Just as they descended the mountain and stepped into the land of ice and snow, they felt two terrifying auras of killing intent. A middle-aged man and woman wearing white tiger skins suddenly descended from the sky and radiated dense killing intent. Lu Menjur was startled. They were the white tiger couple that she had met in the last hero assemble. Their strength was formidable. After the white tiger couple landed on the ground, they hurriedly hugged Bai Jinjin. She was their daughter that they had been searching for a long time without any result. At this moment, Bai Jinjin let out a low roar, and her roar was filled with infinite yearning. After that, the white tiger couple looked at Xianxia and Lu Menjur with killing intent. However, just after a blink of eyes that brief, the killing intent disappeared. "Did you save our daughter?" The middle-aged woman spoke with a stiff voice and her eyes filled with gratitude. Although she wasn't very beautiful, she had a very imposing aura, which made her appear to be extremely noble and dignified. Xianxia knew that Bai Jinjin must have lied to her parents. "It's just a small matter," Xianxia hurriedly replied with a smile. "You even signed a contract with my daughter?" The valiant-looking middle-aged man stared at Xianxia, causing him to feel a lot of pressure. Xianxia nodded. She volunteered. "I know," the middle-aged man said, "but I don't want my daughter to be controlled by humans. You're here to look for the white tiger divine weapon, right?" Xianxia breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. "Exactly. Not everyone can come here to take the divine weapon. Only the one who is approved by the god can do that," the middle-aged woman said. The god that the white tiger spoke of was the white tiger god. Xianxia heard from Long Shui earlier that the azure dragon subduing devil saber was related to the azure dragon, so the white tiger divine weapon was naturally the same. Xianxia lightly breathed in, while his heart of slaughter began to vibrate. An aura of killing intent bursted out from his body. The white tiger couple nodded their heads and said, "You have passed the first stage. What about you?" The middle-aged woman looked at Lu Menjur and asked with a gentle voice. Perhaps it was because they were both women. "I came with him," Lu Menjur said. "Then come with me." The middle-aged man turned around and released a wave of energy. He lifted Bai Jinjin up, then flew towards a snow-white mountain. It did not take long that Xianxia and Lu Menjur arrived at an ice field with the white tiger couple. There were many houses made of ice. After Xianxia and Lu Menjur arrived, many people were appealed and came out to watch. There were men, women, elders, and children among these people. They all carried killing intents with them. That was the unique aura of white tigers. They were all transformed from white tigers. Beasts that could transform were all in the Nirvana realm. Now, Xianxia saw that there were at least 200 people around him. When the middle-aged man saw the astonished expressions of Xianxia and Lu Menjur, he said, "We are pure-blood white tigers, and we were born in the human form. Our daughter is only one that turned to white tiger form just after she was born. We still don't know the reason of it. So it is. Have you been here to protect the white tiger divine weapon?" Xianxia asked. "This is the mission God left us. We don't know how long we have been waiting. Although there were a few people coming here, none of them were able to take the divine weapon in the end." The middle-aged man sighed. It was obvious that he held a high position here. Xianxia and Lu Menjur followed them into a rather large ice house, while Bai Jinjin was taken away by the middle-aged woman. Xianxia knew that he might lose this little white tiger, so he secretly felt pity. After waiting for a while, a sturdy old man with a long beard walked in. He was wearing the same white tiger skin as the others did here. His face was full of gentleness without any killing intent, but it gave Xianxia and Lu Menjur an indescribable terror. This old man was very strong. "My name is Bai Zhan. I am the chief of the White Tiger Battle Clan," the old man said with a smile. Although his eyes were very benevolent, Xianxia and Lu Menjur were scared and felt their hairs standing on when they saw his eyes. "My name is Xianxia. I'm here to take the White Tiger divine weapon. She came with me." Bai Zhan stroked his long beard and frowned. This lady should be Lu Menjur of the Divine Weapon Sect. I didn't predict that you could obtain the divine vermilion bird weapon. That is really strange. C484, Prophet of the White Tiger Battle Clan out of everyone's expectation, by Jean Nu Lu Menger. This made both Xianxia and Lu Menger to be surprised. I have been to the outside world before, and closest Chinwu continent is my most frequently going place. Bai Zhan smiled and explained. Xianxia and Lu Menger already knew that there were hidden strong practitioners in the mortal martial realm. Although those sect headmasters were famous, it did not mean that they were the strongest. There were some strong Nirvana realm masters living in a secluded life. According to the legends, the four symbols divine weapons should belong to the same person, but right now, Lady Lu had the vermilion bird divine weapon, while the little man had the azure dragon divine weapon and the black tortoise divine weapon. Bai Zhan asked in confusion. Lu Menger explained, "The vermilion bird divine weapon was given to me by my parents when I was very young. I've been carrying it for over 10,000 years. So that's how it is. In that case, you have obtained the approval of the vermilion bird divine weapon. Now, which one of you is going to take the white tiger divine weapon?" Bai Zhan nodded his head and curiously looked at Xianxia. He hadn't been out for quite some time, so he naturally didn't know anything about Xianxia. He only felt that it was strange that a person with mediocre strength actually obtained two of the four symbols divine weapons, and this man got on pretty well with Lu Menger. "I'll go," Xianxia responded. He was cultivating the four symbols divine technique, and he could only obtain the white tiger divine weapon as he used the white tiger true chi. Bai Zhan said, "If you want to go to the Holy Land of God War, you must first cancel the contract with that little white tiger, then defeat the future god of war of our white tiger battle clan." Bai Zhinjin let out a low roar. She clearly didn't want to break the contract with Xianxia. She wished to stay with him because there would be many delicious dishes for her. If you want to obtain the white tiger divine weapon, you must not have a contract with any member of our white tiger battle clan. Otherwise, the white tiger divine weapon will not approve you. Actually, we have no objection to our white tiger battle clan members being together with humans. Bai Zhan sighed. Xianxia walked over and rubbed Bai Zhinjin's head, saying, "Little brat, you should stay here for now. After you turn into a human and become a Shen beast, you can come to the extreme martial sect to find me." Bai Zhinjin nodded her hand, although she was unwilling to do that. Then a contract pattern appeared between Xianxia's eyebrows and flickered with white light as it entered Bai Zhinjin's head. In this way, the contract between them was released. Back then, this contract was made by Bai Zhinjin to show her sincerity to Xianxia. Once she harmed him, the contract would bound her and cause her death. Our white tiger battle clan is born to be belligerent. There is a holy land of god of war, and the white tiger divine weapon is right there. That place is a restricted area for us, so we can't enter it, and we will not allow others to enter either. Only if you defeat our future god of war and obtain the him approval will you be able to step into the holy land. At that time, all of the elders of our white tiger battle clan will leave the holy land for you to take away the white tiger divine weapon smoothly." Bai Zhan's words were very clear. The white tiger divine weapon was in the holy land of god of war, and he must defeat the future god of war in order to enter the holy land. Who is the future god of war? What is his strength like? If he is a Nirvana realm practitioner, how could I defeat it? Xianxia asked. Bai Zhan took a light breath and said, "Don't worry. The future god of war is the prophet of our white tiger battle clan. I don't know how strong he is, but he will fight you fairly. He is the future god of our white tiger race. Well, then take me to him. I hope it will be just as what you said." As Xianxia saw Lu Menger nodding her head at him, he had no choice but to take a look at the so-called further god of war in the future. "Follow me." Bai Zhan brought Xianxia and Lu Menger out of the huge ice house and headed towards a large iceberg in the distance. Bai Zhan didn't walk fast. He said that they shew their respect to meet the future god of war, so they couldn't fly over. They could only walk there. This caused Xianxia to feel depressed. He didn't know how long he would have to walk for. In addition, this place was a world of ice and snow in a vast expanse of white. If he didn't hold Lu Menger's warm and white hands, he would have definitely complained along the way. The White Tiger Battle Clan should be the direct bloodline of the White Tiger Divine Beast. The White Tiger became the god of slaughter because he was too belligerent, so he was also a god of war. You said you are going to meet your future god of war. Could it be that he will reach the level of a divine beast in the future? Su Meiyao said in confusion. Something like the divine beast is usually present in worlds with extremely high levels. There is no divine beasts even in the heavenly realm. Long Shui said, all the dragons of our royal dragon family could become divine beasts, but that would take a very long time. If there really is a future god of war, I think it would be the resurrected White Tiger Divine Beast. Hearing Long Shui's words, Xianxia and Bai Yuyu were both astonished. The White Tiger Divine Beast could resurrect after death, even in the mortal martial world. All of the 4 divine beasts participated in the refining process of the 4 symbols' divine weapons. The Azure Dragon subduing Devil Saber is originally the sacred artifact of our dragon race. It is said that a long time ago, the royal dragon family fought over this sacred artifact, causing the entire heavenly realm to be thrown into chaos. After that, someone hided these 4 divine weapons in order to prevent such things from happening again. Little Tramp Dragon, what do you mean by resurrecting after death? Will a divine beast still die as it is in such a level? Chun Xiang asked curiously. Our royal dragon family has all kinds of legends, and one of them is called Nirvana Rebirth, which especially occurs in those divine beasts. Although they are powerful, they could not prevent from death in fights, so in order to protect themselves, they will retain their consciousness and reincarnate. Chun Xiang had also heard of this legend. When he was young, he heard many stories of immortals that many immortals would reincarnate after death and born in mortal world. After that, they would comprehend the heavenly Tao through cultivation, then regained their immortal status and ascended into the heavenly realm. They had been walking in the land of ice and snow for a long time, and it was late at night. A full moon and stars lit up the ice. Finally, they came to a large iceberg, in front of which was a cave. As soon as they arrived, an ordinary-looking young man walked out of the cave. This man was also wearing white tiger skin clothes, and his stature was very big, taller than Chen Xiang by a head. His skin was dark. Although he had an ordinary appearance, a king's aura dispersed between his eyebrows, which gave even Lu Menjie an indescribable pressure. This young man was extremely strong. Chen Xiang and Lu Menjie could tell it with a single glance, especially when they saw the intelligent battle intent in the young man's eyes. Both Chen Xiang and Lu Menjie were kind of terrified. Prophet, they... Just as Bai Zhan said this, the young man waved his hand to interrupt him. Go back to the clan and wait for me. I have already known everything, the young man said. His voice was calm, but there was a hint of majesty in it. Bai Zhan respectfully retreated and left in a quick pace. Which one of you wants to take the White Tiger Divine Weapon? The young man asked. He looked at Lu Menjie and then at Chen Xiang. Finally, his gaze landed on their hands that were closely held together. The strongest person that Chen Xiang had seen in the mortal martial realm was Bai Yuyu's elder sister, Bai Ziqian. But now, he felt that the young man in front of him was much scarier than Bai Ziqian. It's me, Chen Xiang replied. He had no confidence to defeat such a fellow. He felt that he was nothing more than an ant in front of this young man. The young man looked at Lu Menjie and smiled. I see. What? Lu Menjie knew that this young man had noticed their hands holding together earlier, while the smile on his face was extremely strange, so she could not help but asked in curiosity. The young man said, the vermilion bird string is also called the vermilion bird love string. After you obtained the vermilion bird string, you were touched by this brat, weren't you? And you were even turned on by him. Lu Menjie was stunned for a moment. She suddenly understood why she had such an indescribable feeling for Chen Xiang in that very short period, and why she finally fell in love to Chen Xiang. It turned out that it was the vermilion bird string that plagued her, but even so, she believed that it was her feelings that surpassed the vermilion bird string, especially what Chen Xiang did for her, that he led her to take the fire soul, told her details of the nirvana tribulation, gave her incomparably precious spirit medicine, and helped her smoothly survive the nirvana tribulation. Chen Xiang's good intentions were all engraved in her heart. so she didn't think that her emotion would be manipulated by the vermilion bird string. It has nothing to do with it. Even if I don't have the vermilion bird string, I'll still be with him, Lu Menjie firmly said. She didn't want Xianxia to think that she stayed with him because of the vermilion bird string. This would severely hurt a man's self-esteem. I believe in you. The young man smiled. Xianxia clenched Lu Menjie's jade-like hands and said to the young man, "Are you the white tiger?" There was a trace of surprise in the young man's eyes. He nodded. "You got me. You are actually not simple." After confirming the identity of this future god of war, Xianxia and Bai Yu were both extremely surprised. It was just as Long Shui said, that the future god of war was the reincarnation of the white tiger divine beast. Could it be that the white tiger had died a long time ago, and it actually reincarnated to such a place? Lu Menjie quickly thought of something. The legendary 4 divine beasts were not legends at all. They truly existed. If this young man in front of them was called White Tiger, then he must be the legendary White Tiger divine beast and the god of slaughter. The name of the White Tiger divine weapon is the Slaughtering God Hand. It's a set of gloves, and if you put on it on your hand, you will have extremely horrifying power. It will cause one to be filled with slaughtering intent, and it was refined with my life. I died at that time, the White Tiger said. Although his tone was calm, it was filled with sadness and vicissitudes of life. So, if you want to get the White Tiger divine weapon, you have to defeat me because that was refined with my previous life. I will fight you with the same cultivation level as yours. It is the early stage of the spiritual martial realm, right? White Tiger asked. Xianxia nodded his head. If that was the case, then he had nothing to be afraid of. He would have a high chance of winning if the opponent was in the same level as his. You are not allowed to borrow the strength of that small dragon, the White Tiger supplemented. His requirement made Lu Menjie to be confused. However, she immediately thought of the white dragon tattoo on the left side of Xianxia's body. Now she remembered that every time Xianxia was using an extremely strong power, the white dragon tattoo would shine. She knew that Xianxia had many secrets, but she also knew that if Xianxia wanted to tell her, she did not need to ask. Well, no problem. Xianxia didn't expect him to find that. You can't use any weapons, including your black tortoise armament armor. Every time you are attacked, that thing will always pop out secretly, White Tiger said. Xianxia sighed. After all these years, the black tortoise armament armor had indeed helped him block many attacks. However, he was not afraid right now because his flesh body was also very strong, even without the black tortoise armament armor. Anything else? Xianxia asked. That's it. How about you? Do you have any demands on me? White Tiger laughed. Xianxia was confused. Why did the White Tiger use its own life to make a divine weapon? Were the other divine weapons of the 4 symbols divine weapons the same as well? Xianxia shoot his question out. Not the other guys. Just me. Because I am the god of slaughter, there was one guy who could not stand watching. He wanted to bet with me. If I lose, he would refine me into a divine weapon, and in the end, I lose. The White Tiger did not gloss over his failure at all as he talked about it. Unexpectedly, a legendary being like him did not lie for such things. Then why did the 4 symbols divine weapons appear in the Chenwu continent? Xianxia asked again. You will find it out later. Now, let's begin to fight at the front. As the White Tiger spoke, he had already walked towards the flat ice field at front. Suddenly, a huge circle of white light appeared, and that was the place where the 2 of them would duel. Lu Menjie kissed Xianxia's cheek and encouraged him. You will definitely win. Xianxia nodded and followed the White Tiger. Senior White Tiger, the great war of the 3 realms is coming. Will you come out to help out then? Xianxia asked. The Chenwu continent would definitely be much safer if such a strong force was with it. No, that's a matter of humans. If you humans unite together, you don't need to fear fiendish demons. Nor do you need our help. White Tiger shook his head. This was indeed a matter of humans. The number of humans was many times more than the White Tiger race and the demon beasts. If they couldn't resist the demons, then it could only be caused by the human race's lack of unity. Senior, you are a prophet. Do you know how long it will take before the great war of the three realms comes? Xianxia asked again. This gave him a sense of security. Around 5 years, very soon. At that time, as long as there are goblins, demons, and humans in this world, there will be a pathway that connects the three independent worlds together. After that, there will be many worlds with goblins, demons, and humans together. White Tiger said. 5 years. To someone who had been cultivating martial arts for a long time, 5 years was extremely fast. Still, Xianxia had many things to complete before that. For example, he needed to refine a low-rank Earth-level Dan within 3 years, then competed with Elder Dan to refine Dan. After that, he had to refine a large amount of Dan and cultivate 3,000 of true martial realm martial artists, as well as to find 3,000 of golden flying tigers and to build a mysterious and powerful cavalry. 5 years was too short. Even 10 years wasn't enough. Come on, put me down. Then you can go to the holy land of God of War. At that time, you will be there to fuse with the slaughtering god hand. The white tiger had his hands behind his back. At this moment, he had a serious expression on his face. He did not think low of Xianxia. Although the white tiger was reincarnated, its strength was still very strong. Xianxia believed that the strength of the white tiger had long surpassed the human realm. It should be at a level above the heavenly realm. Even if the white tiger controlled his strength to the early stage of the spiritual martial realm, his flesh body and vigorous true chi were not something that Xianxia could compare to. However, Xianxia also had his trump card. Although he was not allowed to use the Azure Dragon subduing Devil Saber or the Black Tortoise armament armor, he was very confident in himself. He must defeat the god of slaughter. Xianxia discovered that there was a very strong force coming from the ice and a barrier was slowly forming. Quite a number of humans have entered this profound realm. They are all top-notch martial practitioners in the mortal martial realm. I do not wish to lure them over, White Tiger said. Xianxia was also worried that too many people would come and clash with the White Tiger battle tribe. It would be a huge loss to the mortal world if so many Nirvana realm experts died in one go. I won't turn into a beast form and fight with you. That way you won't be able to beat me. It could add your chance to win as I fight you in my human form. White Tiger smiled faintly. Xianxia silently cursed in his heart. His opponent is a reincarnated divine beast with such terrifying strength. Even though it suppressed its cultivation, it still stood in an advantageous position against him. Lu Menjur knew that Xianxia was very strong, but she was secretly worried. After all, the white tiger held a huge advantage. Indeed, it was a divine beast. Whatever it had experienced or learned, it would be out of comparison for a mortal like Xianxia. This white tiger divine weapon was the last item Xianxia came for, but it was so difficult to obtain it. Don't be afraid of this big mixed-color cat. Although he has a huge advantage, you practice the divine arts and your magic power is also very powerful. Moreover, you can use those devilish arts recklessly. Just call them over on him. Long Shui said. Xianxia's magic power was indeed not weak. However, up until now, he could only use his heavenly dragon seal to execute an offensive ability, and it took his time to perform it. Are you ready? Let's start when you are. I'll let you attack first, White Tiger said. Xianxia's expression was serious as he shook his head. Wait a little longer. The White Tiger didn't say anything. Xianxia couldn't use the Azure Dragon Devil Slayer or the Black Tortoise armament armor, nor could he borrow Long Shui's power. This way, he would lose a lot of his strength. Shui, do your Royal Dragon Clan have any ways to deal with this kind of big white cat? Xianxia asked. The white tiger is just like a dragon. There are many of them in the heavenly realm, and they all need to evolve from weak to strong. As for Black Tortoise and Vermilion Bird, they are few in number, so they are very difficult to evolve. Our Dragon Clan and the White Tiger Clan had a period of conflict in the heavenly realm. At that time, the Royal Dragon Clan had been searching for the White Tiger's weakness. Upon hearing Long Shui's words, Xianxia was overjoyed. The weakness is the gold attribute true chi of the White Tiger. And your strongest power right now is fire. The heaven and earth fire could destroy his gold attribute true chi, but only if the quality of his gold true chi is not that much stronger than your heaven and earth fire, or you would be not able to defeat it. The 5 elements countered each other, while fire countered gold. Xianxia had just obtained the heaven and earth fire soul, allowing him to possess a heaven and earth fire that was several times stronger than the heaven fire. Because it was the heaven and earth flame, it was hidden very deeply within Xianxia's body. Even if the white tiger discovered Long Shui, the little dragon, was attaching to Xianxia's body, it would still be unable for it to discover the fire soul within his body. I'm ready. Xianxia lightly smiled. It was an extremely confident smile. Then come. You possess the yin-yang divine veins, so you should be cultivating the Tai Chi subduing dragon technique, right? I want to try your dragon power. I really miss that force. White Tiger said. Xianxia laughed. I might disappoint you. Although I can use my dragon power, I don't feel like there's a need to fight you with it. Furthermore, that would be a huge waste for me. Young man sure is arrogant. The white tiger laughed loudly. Xianxia did not plan to use his dragon power, which made Lu Menger slightly frown. At this critical moment, Xianxia was still underestimating his opponent. The heaven and earth true chi was the best oil. If it was poured onto the heaven and earth fire, it would make the fire even more powerful. Right now, Xianxia was starting to circulate the heaven and earth true chi to fuse it with the fire soul within his body to create the most powerful heaven and earth fire. Xianxia suddenly shouted in a deep voice. The clothes on his upper body had been torn apart. His muscular body were slightly red and a scorching heat rose up from within him, causing the originally frozen icy ground to heat up, making people feel as if they were being roasted by the blazing sun. Thankfully, there was a powerful barrier on the icy ground. Otherwise, the surrounding ice would have been melted by the heat released by Xianxia. Not far away, Lu Menger also discovered that the heat released by Xianxia was extremely terrifying. If it was a flame, then it would be even stronger. A raging fire suddenly appeared on Xianxia's fist. Seeing the crazily dancing flames, the white tiger's pupils abruptly contracted. This kind of fire caused it to feel shocked. Could not imagine that a mortal would possess a flame of this level. Whiz! Xianxia suddenly leaped. His speed was as fast as a ray of lightning, leaving only afterimages. This was the fastest speed he had ever displayed, and he charged towards the shocked white tiger in it. The white tiger was astonished by the speed. Although he knew that Xianxia was coming towards him, he did not react in time and was unable to dodge. Xianxia's fist that was spewing out intense flames was like a meteorite that was burning with flames as it smashed towards the white tiger's face. It even exploded into a ball of flame that rumbled loudly. Xianxia didn't stop with just one punch. The other fist followed closely behind. He wanted to seize this opportunity to use this crazy fire fist to strike the white tiger. Lu Menger was stunned when she saw the continuous explosions of flame fists. She couldn't understand how the flames could have increased so much, especially since she and Xianxia had only been separated for 2 months. Xianxia's punches were very fast and looked as if he had several arms. He was able to punch out dozens of times in a split second, and each punch contained the same amount of power. It even had a suction force, trapping the enemy, making it impossible for them to escape from this storm of punches. The white tiger suddenly roared and an overbearing killing intent surged out. The icy ground trembled and a tyrannical aura exploded from his body, causing Xianxia to be knocked flying. Xianxia's fist was smoking and his entire body was emitting hot air. His eyes were burning with fury. He was preparing to use his hand as a blade to execute the furious dragon slash. The white tiger had never imagined that it would be beaten to such a sorry state. Xianxia had just landed hundreds of blows on its head, and they were all accompanied by extremely intense and terrifying flames that caused the white tiger's hair to hurt. This guy even sealed its own divine sense so that it could only be in the early stage of the spirit martial realm. Long Shui said, it would definitely be discovered if its divine sense was very powerful. That's for the best. Xianxia rejoiced in his heart. He clenched his fist and once again ignited the violent flames. The white tiger was certain that Xianxia possessed a fire soul, but it couldn't figure out what kind of fire soul Xianxia had. It was actually so powerful that even caused it to be afraid. Killing intent enveloped the icy ground, causing Xianxia to feel slightly uncomfortable. However, he was not a green hand. He had also cultivated the white tiger divine technique before, and the killing intent he gathered was also very strong. The killing intent released by the white tiger ignited its killing intent and made it to immediately feel full of power. It clenched its fists and fiercely stomped its feet, shaking the icy ground as it flew towards Xianxia. "You're still too young," Xianxia shouted loudly. Two fire vines suddenly leapt out from under the icy ground and very accurately wrapped around the rapidly moving white tiger, then completely dissipating the imposing aura that the white tiger had just gathered. "You're still too young." Hearing these words, the white tiger and Lu Menjie were both shocked as they were struck by a lightning. They didn't understand where Xianxia got his gut from to dare to say such words in front of a divine beast. However, the white tiger did not expect that Xianxia could use such a strange technique, nor did it expect that Xianxia's flame would be so powerful that it could suppress its strength. Its gold attribute true qi would be instantly incinerated upon contact with the flame, which substantially reduced its strength. Originally, the white tiger thought that the killing intent it released would suppress Xianxia, but he completely ignored it. That killing intent was a type of mental attack. However, Xianxia's divine sense was so strong that he was completely fine. Just a moment ago, the white tiger was still full of momentum and intended to defeat Xianxia in one go. But now it was suddenly entangled by Xianxia's fire vine. Waves of torching true qi entered his body and devoured the true qi gathered within his body. The fire vine was very strong and could tightly entangle the white tiger. However, Xianxia knew that it wouldn't be able to hold on for long, while it could make enough time for him to make his second round of fierce attacks. Under the astonishment of the white tiger, Xianxia had already arrived in front of him. Both his arms were like blazing iron blocks, emitting a forceful burning power. Flames would occasionally gush out them. Looking at Xianxia's arms that was like axes chopping down, the white tiger was helpless. Right now, it was unable to manipulate the true qi in his body because it was completely restrained by the flames. Besides, Xianxia moved very fast, leaving it no chance to react. At this moment, Xianxia was seething with fury. The flames of anger were extremely terrifying. He struck out with his palm, then fiercely chopped down on the white tiger's shoulder, just like collapsing mountains and cracking the earth. The furious dragon slash was terrifying, even though it was not performed from the azure subduing dragon demon slayer, and it would be more nimble if Xianxia used both his hands. Right now, it still took some more time for the white tiger to break free from the fire vine, but just this little bit of time was enough for him to use hundreds of dragon slashes. Xianxia's two arms were like sabers with surging flames. He frantically slashed at the white tiger that was surrounded by fire vines. All the slashes were extremely deadly as they hacked down on the white tiger's upper body. Seeing Xianxia's enraged expression, the white tiger was also furious. It was a magnificent divine beast. Even though it was reincarnated, it had never been so aggrieved, but now it was actually provoked by a mere mortal time by time. The face of the white tiger was red and swollen. The upper half of its body was burnt by Xianxia's furious dragon slash. Of course, Xianxia knew that his slashes didn't damage the inside of the white tiger. The white tiger's flesh body was extremely terrifying. Such a tyrannical attack that he performed only left a superficial wound on it. When he felt that the white tiger was about to break free from the fire vine, Xianxia stopped using furious dragon slash and switched to the heaven-shaking palm. He had struck the white tiger several dozen times in just an instant on its body parts on which it was about to circulate true qi, which successfully dissipated its true qi. In order to prevent itself from being attacked by Xianxia, the white tiger let out a roar and bursted all of the all-true qi from its body, which once again shook Xianxia away. However, this consumed a lot of his true qi while it did not harm Xianxia at all. Even though the white tiger was furious, it was aware clearly that there was a huge gap when it suppressed its cultivation to the same level as that of Xianxia. It would have already been beaten to smithereens if its flesh body that it had cultivated for many years did not withstand a large portion of Xianxia's attack. In the same cultivation realm, Xianxia was invincible. It was the same for others, like the mighty clans, human royal clans, and blue blood family were all the same. All of them could not defeat Xianxia even if they were stronger than him. Lu Menger's heart jumped instantly when she saw this. She started to suspect that the white tiger's identity was real. At the start of the fight, it was beaten up by Xianxia to the point that it couldn't fight back at all. The flames of anger on Xianxia's body weakened, but a smile still hung on the corner of his mouth. At this moment, the white tiger seemed to have discovered something, and it suddenly felt a bit cold. The white tiger had been living in this world of ice and snow for many years, but it had never felt cold before, while now it felt as if a wave of cold streams circulated within its body. The icy soul devil dominance. It was a mysterious spiritual attack. After being infused with the icy soul devil dominance, one would feel cold due to a kind of spiritual effect, just like indulging into an illusory magic array. After entering the magic array, one's spirit would be kidnapped, causing his or her five senses to be confused and thinking that everything was real. It's the time to use the bone-melting devil palm. This white tiger's body is very strong, so it should not be able to melt his bones, but it still causes it to suffer a heavy injury. Now its own true chi was sealed and will be quickly consumed. You better consume all its true chi first, then violently beat up its flesh body that is eroded by the icy soul devil dominance until he surrenders. Bai Yu said, "What did you do to me?" The white tiger was at a loss and hurriedly asked. It was hard for him to imagine a person using such a powerful flame to attack him, yet he was able to send a strange cold energy into its body. These were two extremes of strength. Although they could be used at the same time, it was extremely difficult for them to be used in such a secretive way as Xianxia did. As Lu Menger saw the white tiger trembling slightly, she knew that Xianxia had used that strange technique again. Last time when Xianxia was in Fragrant City, he used exactly the same 10 technique against Xiaoqiu, a mighty clan member. Even though she was separated by a barrier and far away from Xianxia, she could feel the intense heat but was unable to sense the icy cold energy. The cold power that was able to freeze the white tiger was clearly much stronger than the flame that Xianxia used earlier. However, Xianxia used it without leaving a trace, which led people be confused since it was totally against normalities. Of course, Xianxia didn't use the icy cold energy. He was only executing a close-range attack. He deceived people's spirit and made them feel that they were frozenly cold. The white tiger thought that it was a divine beast, so it was so confident that it sealed its divine sense into merely the level of an early stage of the spiritual martial realm, whereas Xianxia cultivated the divine path. So his divine sense was far above the early stage of the spiritual martial realm. In this way, he managed to perform the icy soul devil dominance and caused a spiritual lethal attack on the white tiger. However, the white tiger still didn't know that its spirit was under attack, because it didn't think that Xianxia's divine sense was much stronger than its. "I told you, you are still too young." Xianxia laughed as he leaped forward. A pair of flaming wings suddenly appeared on his shoulder and accelerated his speed, causing him to fly over with a violent impacting force. Although the white tiger was cold, it was free to use its true chi. This time it was prepared as it saw Xianxia coming to it. It took out its fists, which were a pair of white tiger fists. Waves of tiger roars came out of these two tyrannical fists, defending Xianxia's flaming attack. As the four fists collided with each other, the wind and clouds flight out in the air. The white tiger was stunned and its expression changed as it trembled in fear. Moreover, both of its arms were also in extreme pain, which forced it to hurriedly retreat. Xianxia not only released the icy soul devil dominance on his fists, but also the force of bone-melting devil palm that eroded the white tiger's bones. Even though the white tiger was able to beat Xianxia to fly, the power of the bone-melting devil palm and the icy soul devil dominance that entered its body caused its bones to ache. Its entire body was cold, and Xianxia also gave it a strong blow. Just a moment ago, Xianxia poured a large amount of icy soul devil dominance into the white tiger's body, which made it to feel even colder. This way, the white tiger would be affected and wouldn't be able to exert its strength during the battle. Seeing the white tiger shivering, Xianxia secretly laughed in his heart. He flew over once again with his palms dancing in the air. Shadow of his palms flew out. The palm wind was like raging waves as it enveloped the white tiger, instantly striking the white tiger in hundreds of times. In that instant, the earth trembled, while the strength of the bone-melting devil palm wreaked havoc on the bones in the white tiger's body. The evil icy soul devil dominance drilled into the white tiger's sea of consciousness and attacked its spirit. Xianxia used all his full strength and the fastest speed he could get to perform it. In that instant, the white tiger's bones hurt endlessly. Furthermore, the ice-cold feeling made its entire body shiver and its expression turn ugly. The white tiger still had many powerful martial skills that it had not used. But now not only was it unable to use martial skills, it was even unable to circulate its true qi. Xianxia's attacks were too fierce and with a power that it had never seen before, which made it to be at a loss as to how to deal with them. White Tiger King Fist. A killing intent burst forth from Xianxia's body. Two tiger heads appeared on the surface of his fists that were like thunders as they crazily struck on the white tiger's body. Now, Xianxia no longer used the palm power of the bone-melting devil palm. Instead, he channeled the icy soul devil dominance to the white tiger. He wanted to freeze it to the point that it was unable to retaliate. If the white tiger did not seal its divine sense, it would definitely know what strange techniques Xianxia was using. It was only because its divine sense was far inferior to that of Xianxia that it did not know that this coldness came from his spirit. In addition, the flames that Xianxia was using terrified it the most. Although afraid of fire, it had never been afraid to such an extent before. Xianxia's flame was already so terrifying in this stage, and it would definitely become even stronger in the future. After entering its body, the flames would be able to completely destroy its true qi. The heavy and earth fire, the icy soul devil dominance, and the bone-melting devil palm, Xianxia used all of them to suppress the white tiger. First, he utilized the heaven and earth fire to suppress the white tiger's gold attribute true qi. Then the bone-melting devil palm to make it feel pain all over its body, after which he took the opportunity to infuse the icy soul devil dominance into the white tiger's spirit to slowly wear it down, causing it to gradually lose its advantage, while as it was unable to fight back, it was repressed by Xianxia's extremely fast speed and tyrannical attacks. To know your enemies and yourself prevents you from being defeated all the time. Although Xianxia didn't fully understand the white tiger, he knew that its weakness was its fear of fire. Moreover, it was a reincarnated divine beast, so it though lowly of its component. The white tiger did not take it necessary to know Xianxia entirely. It discovered that a small dragon was attaching to Xianxia's body, and it also forbade Xianxia to use Long Shui's strength or the black tortoise armament armor. This way, it believed that Xianxia's strength would become weaker. White Tiger lost because of this. His true qi might be stronger than that of Xianxia, while its martial arts might also be stronger. However, when the white tiger was at ease, Xianxia suppressed it with his fastest speed. This was a tactic. In a martial arts match, it was not a one-sided fight. It was not enough to only use force without a brain. Right now, the white tiger was like a human sandbag, being crazily beaten up by Xianxia until its face was swollen, whereas Xianxia would not grant it any mercy. It was hard for him to beat up the white tiger like this, so he wouldn't leave it with any chance to retaliate. Lu Menger let out a breath of relief as she watched Xianxia beating the white tiger to fly from side to side in trembling. She knew that the victor had been decided. Heaven Tiger Rampage Fist. After Xianxia's tiger head fists burning with anger attacked over, a series of explosions rang out and flames shot in all directions. Xianxia's fists crazily landed on the white tiger's face. Each punch caused a violent explosion. After tiring himself out, Xianxia switched to the heaven-shaking palm to launch an inhumane attack. If the white tiger was just an ordinary extreme realm cultivator, it would have long been crashed to meat sauce. While the white tiger's body was very strong, although it could not use true qi and was shivering in cold, it was still with consciousness. Xianxia knew that if he were to continue, the white tiger would be able to disperse the icy soul devil dominance. He steeled his heart and released his magic power, beginning to execute the heavenly dragon seal. He knew that with his current strength, he was unable to make the white tiger with a powerful fleshly body admit defeat. He could only borrow the power of heaven and earth. It was late at night and the sky was full of stars. A full moon was high up in the sky and the spirit chi floating in the sky was very dense. The dense spirit chi in the profound realm made the heavenly dragon seal that Xianxia casted even stronger. Use the star and moon berserk dragon in the heavenly dragon seal. You could borrow the spirit chi and the power of the stars and moon to summon the star and moon berserk dragon at night. It is very powerful at night. Long Shui said. The heavenly dragon seal was a technique for granting punishment. The most basic thing about it was to release the true chi in one's body, then to use his or her magic power to silently condense the spirit chi in the air to form a dragon claw, which could then be released a little bit stronger furious dragon punishment. It was the best technique to use in a raging state. The last thing necessary to do was to summon dragons with different energy natures to take punishment. Xianxia had previously performed the demon-subduing holy dragon to deal with a demon when he was in the king's continent. It was at night at present, so it would be the best choice for him to summon the star and moon berserk dragon. Xianxia began to chant the spell. His powerful mana was released and floated in the air, forming a huge net that compressed all of the spirit chi there. At the same time, it also absorbed the power of the lights of the stars and moon, converging to a glowing spiral disk in the air. It was extremely beautiful, but that power caused the icy plane to slightly tremble. It was not the first time that Lu Menjie saw Xianxia using some strange and powerful martial arts, but she was still stunned in this time. In the sky above the ice field, the huge spiral disks that covered a circumference of over 100 miles seemed to be formed from countless lights that converged together like galaxies. The power of the stars and the moon gathered together, colliding with each other, fusing, and then clashing. Terrifying waves of power burst out and spun rapidly in the air. The pressure formed by this power had caused many huge icebergs to collapse. The ice ground ruptured and the earth was shaking. Xianxia watched as the spiral disk above grew bigger and bigger. It resembled the Milky Way in the summer. He was also extremely stunned as he saw it himself. Is this the heavenly dragon seal? The white tiger let out a cry of surprise. It now understood why it felt an indescribable chill. It was a spiritual attack. When it saw Xianxia use his divine techniques, it was aware that Xianxia cultivated divine path, while his divine sense was far beyond that of an ordinary person. The star and moon berserk dragon. After Xianxia finished chanting the spell, he was extremely excited. The huge glowing disk in the sky condensed into a gigantic dragon that appeared to be made of starlight. It flew for a while in the sky before letting out a loud roar and crashing into the ground. Xianxia hurriedly dodged. He took all the true chi in his body to release fire vines to tightly wrap around the white tiger, preventing it from moving. Humph! The white tiger let out a cold snort, and the fire vines on its body immediately exploded. With a wave of its hand, a huge tiger forming from white lights flew out and crashed toward the star and moon berserk dragon. The dragon and tiger collided and instantly exploded, generating a burst of light that illuminated the night sky, as if it was day. You win! The white tiger sighed. It was forced by Xianxia to use its true strength to destroy the star and moon berserk dragon in the end, which made it feel much better. The white tiger removed the power that was sealing its strength, which allowed it to recover its strength to the original state. Only then would it be able to easily defeat the star and moon berserk dragon that Xianxia released. This caused Xianxia to feel extremely displeased. He really wanted to see the white tiger being beaten to a pulp. It took him a lot of magic power to condense it. Seeing that the white tiger had admitted defeat, Lu Menjie blinked her beautiful eyes at Xianxia. However, the shocking scene of Xianxia summoning the star and moon berserk dragon still lingered in her mind. After regaining its strength, the white tiger easily dispelled the icy soul devil dominance that affected its spirit. You win. The white tiger divine weapon is yours, the white tiger said, with a non-coverable relentlessness in its eyes. It was the white tiger divine beast, while it was actually beaten up by a little brat to such a miserable state. Moreover, the little brat held a great advantage. Its face would probably fall if such words were leaked out. Xianxia smiled and asked, "Where's the white tiger divine weapon?" "It's in the holy land of God of War. I cannot get close to that place. Once I get close, that white tiger divine weapon will return to me. At that time, it will be very difficult to take it down. Unless you could fuse with it, I cannot get close to it." The white tiger sighed. "You will get the reputation of God of War when you can actually defeat me in the future. Didn't I just defeat you in a real sense?" Xianxia smiled and said, "Senior White Tiger has a great advantage. If it wasn't for your powerful flesh body, I would have already finished my business." Hearing Xianxia's words, the white tiger couldn't help but blush as it flew away. "Pass through the cave and you will reach the Holy Land." The white tiger's words echoed in Xianxia's ears, causing him and Lu Menjur to laugh. Lu Menjur flew to Xianxia's side and helped him put on his clothes. After that, she wiped off the sweat on his face as well as the blood on the corner of his mouth. "You brat really made it lose face. It is the white tiger divine beast," Lu Menjur said with smile. Although she said so, she was secretly proud in her heart because Xianxia was her beloved. Xianxia kissed her face and pulled her towards the cave. "I did not expect that the white tiger divine weapon is called the Hand of God of Slaughter. It doesn't have any similarities with the names of the Azure Dragon Demon Subduing Slayer, Vermilion Bird Strings, and Black Tortoise Armament Armor." The white tiger said that it is a pair of gloves. If you wear them on your hand, you would be very strong when you use your fist and palm to attack. Xianxia displayed a mischievous smile on his face. Lu Menjur wrinkled her nose and snorted, "Little rascal, you sure have a lot of underhanded tactics. That white tiger was completely disgraced by your underhanded methods and lost so badly." Xianxia laughed. "I'm fair and square. If I use all of my underhanded techniques, then this big white cat will lose even more miserably." Lu Menjur knew that there were many secrets on him, but she didn't ask too many questions. She also had her own secrets, and Xianxia didn't ask her anything. They two had a strong mutual trust. "I feel that something miraculous might happen if the four symbols divine weapon are on the same person. Now that you don't have the vermilion bird strings, it would be great if I could take it off," Lu Menjur said with guilt as she bit her lips. "Hee, Sister Menjur, you just need to refine one more in the future. Anyway, it is just a refining process. I believe that Sister Menjur will definitely be able to make it." Xianxia smiled. Although this was only a matter of lack of perfection, Xianxia was very contented, not to mention that it was also a good thing that the vermilion bird strings was on Lu Menjur's hand. Could add her strength significantly. Lu Menjur lightly nodded her head. What Xianxia said was also her future goal, which was to refine a vermilion bird divine weapon so that Xianxia could gather all the four symbols divine weapon. However, she knew that it would take a long time. After they entered the cave, they walked for over an hour to pass through the huge iceberg, then arrived at a verdant forest, which shocked them a lot, since they were in a world of ice and snow a moment ago. Walking out of the cave, they saw a path paved with stone. At the end of the path, there was a huge round platform, like an altar, built in the middle of the forest. Lu Menjur pulled Xianxia along and crossed the long stone path in a flash. Then they arrived at the round platform, beside which there was a round table. On the table was a transparent crystal box. Inside the crystal box was a pair of gloves that seemed to be made of tiger skin. It was the kind that could show one's fingers. This was the white tiger divine weapon, the Hand of God of Slaughter. Just when Xianxia was about to grab it, a very powerful force suddenly flew towards him. Lu Menjur's expression changed drastically as she hastily waved her palm. Her hand was filled with an ice-cold energy as she slapped away the force attacking Xianxia. However, Xianxia and Lu Menjur were blown off the round platform by the blast of air. "Ha! The white tiger divine weapon. This is the white tiger divine weapon. This place is indeed the white tiger profound realm. As long as I obtain this white tiger divine weapon and kill this brat and the woman, I can also obtain this woman's fire soul and that brat's azure dragon demon subduing slayer. Haha. A middle-aged man wearing red armor laughed crazily. He was a member of the Fire God Shrine. Not only that, but he was very powerful. He was a martial artist that had survived the 8 Nirvana tribulations. Moreover, it could be known from the scorching hot energy he just released that he was a person with a fire soul. Although Lu Menjur had cultivated the Frost Wind Divine Technique, she could only barely defend against him. It was impossible for her to defeat the man. As long as I get all these, the position of the Hall Master will be mine. The middle-aged man of the Fire God Shrine laughed maniacally as he hurriedly grabbed the White Tiger Divine Weapon. At this moment, Lu Menjur unleashed a wave of ice-cold energy. Then a gust of cold wind blew over from all directions, transforming into numerous sharp ice thorns that pierced towards the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man sneered, "If I were you guys, I'd think of a way to escape now." As he discoursed, he shattered the ice thorns with a single palm strike. While the cold energy still lingered on the middle-aged man's body after the ice thorns shattered, Lu Menjur flashed forward and shot out her beautiful palms. Waves of cold true chi flew out from her palms and instantly covered the entire forest in a layer of frost. A thick layer of ice also covered the man of the Fire God Shrine. "Go, leave him to me," Lu Menjur quickly said with a serious face. She could easily escape as long as Xianxia made to leave. Furthermore, it was not necessary for Xianxia to flee too far. He just needed to pass through the iceberg. At that time, the White Tiger would definitely take actions. "Ha ha!" The middle-aged man laughed. "Lu Menjur, your Frost Wind Divine Technique is indeed very powerful, but it's still far from being able to deal with me. This brat can go, but you must die." The ice on the middle-aged man suddenly cracked open. After that, Lu Menjur quickly flew over and pushed on the ice on the middle-aged man's body. Then the cracks on the ice closed up again. "Go!" Lu Menjur shouted out as she gritted her teeth, with a sense of request within her eyes. She knew that Xianxia had a prospect future ahead of him, so he definitely couldn't die here. Seeing Lu Menjur in such a state, Xianxia knew that she spent up a huge amount of true chi to use the Frost Wind Divine Technique to freeze the middle-aged man to give him time to escape. Use the Demon Devouring Technique to devour that guy. Bai Yuyu knew Xianxia well enough that he would not leave Lu Menjur alone. Bai Yuyu had warned Xianxia many times that he absolutely could not use the Demon Devouring Technique on people who were much stronger than him. Xianxia was only at the early spirit martial realm, and he still needed to consolidate his cultivation, not to improve it quickly in a short period of time, but now he was attempting to devour a martial artist who survived the 8 Nirvana tribulations. This frantic action left Xianxia confused, but he knew that Bai Yuyu definitely wouldn't harm him. Bai Yuyu must have other purposes to let him act in this way. Right now, Xianxia couldn't consider too much. He would rather die himself than leave Lu Menjur behind. Seeing Xianxia rushing over, Lu Menjur closed her eyes as 2 streams of tears rolled down her face. She knew that Xianxia would rush over. She had some hopes for that, but most of all, she hoped that Xianxia would just leave. Xianxia placed one hand on the ice and released his magic power into the frozen middle-aged man's body. After feeling the thick true chi in his dantian, he started to circulate the Demon Devouring Technique. It had been a long time since he last used it. "Ha ha! What an idiot boy!" The middle-aged man laughed crazily. It would be very troublesome for him in the future if Xianxia left away. But now he could notice that Lu Menjur, the female emperor of a generation, had an unfathomable relationship with this brat, Xianxia. "Ha ha!" The middle-aged man let out waves of frantic laugh even if he was frozen in a block of ice. He knew that Lu Menjur wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. As long as he could wait for Lu Menjur to use up her energy, he would be readily able to kill Xianxia and Lu Menjur in one go. Suddenly, the middle-aged man's laughter came to a halt as he felt the true chi within his body was rapidly dissipating. The speed at which the true chi was being drained made him extremely terrified. He suddenly looked towards Xianxia, only to see his body swelling up. The middle-aged man realized that Xianxia was using an unknown martial art to devour his power. "Hurry up and transfer your devoured power to Lu Menjur. Otherwise, your body will explode and you will die," Bai Yuyu hurriedly shouted. After hearing the words, Xiang was ecstatic. He quickly pressed his hand on Lu Menger's abdomen, allowing the middle-aged man's true qi to flow through him and infuse into Lu Menger's body. Sister Menger, be quick. Circulate your power and refine it, Xiang shouted in a hurry. When Lu Menger felt the steady stream of true qi from Xiang's palm, her heart skipped a beat. She quickly understood what had happened. The previously despairing her secretly let out a sigh of relief. Demon? Xiang, you evil demon. Stop it now. For the middle-aged man, it was the most terrifying thing that his power was devoured. He would be no different from a mortal once his own power was devoured up. That middle-aged man was extremely shocked. This kind of martial arts that could devour other people's martial arts was indeed a demonic art. Of course, it was also a martial arts that many people dreamed of, because it allowed them to obtain power without taking any effort. Lu Menger was also astonished as she heard that Xiang had such a demonic art. She was originally happy, but her expression suddenly changed because of Xiang's abnormally ugly expression. She could see that Xiang's face was covered in wounds. Xiang's body was currently expanding. He let out a muffled cry as his clothes suddenly shattered. His valiant body expanded to a terrifying size, as if it was going to split open. Streaks of blood appeared as blood seeped out from his pores. It was extremely terrifying. Lu Menger could know without thinking that it was because of the endless supply of true qi that caused Xiang to act like this. After all, it was the true qi of a man who had survived the 8 nirvana tribulations. The quality was pretty fine. Although Xiang had a strong flesh body, it was hard for him to withstand it. Little rascal. Lu Menger bit her red lips. Her face was full of worry and her eyes were filled with tears. Seeing Xiang in such pain, her heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. I'm fine, don't worry. Xiang didn't want Lu Menger to be too worried, so he forced a smile. Seeing the forced smile on his face, Lu Menger's heart broke and tears fell from her eyes. Xiang immediately circulated the black tortoise body strengthening technique to conduct cultivation using this pain. This way, no matter how much pain he suffered, his body would not be destroyed with the help of the black tortoise body strengthening technique. This was the magic part of this technique. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed. The middle-aged man whose power was swallowed by Xiang was extremely anxious. Originally, he did not expect that Xiang would be able to hold on much longer before his body exploded. However, now he saw the streaks of blood on Xiang's body slowly recovered, which meant that Xiang had adapted to it in a short period of time. This brat was so formidable. The beneficiary of it was Lu Menger. The power that passed through Xiang's body was refined by his heaven and earth fire soul and became purer, so that Lu Menger could easily refine it into her own true qi and store it in her dantian after she received such purified power. Hehe, you also have a fire soul on you, right? And it's a purple fire soul. Haha. Xiang suddenly laughed. Still, his laughter was extremely ugly because he was suffering from the pain just like being stabbed by needles all over his body. The middle-aged man was like being whipped on his face. He originally planned to kill them and take Lu Menger's fire soul, but now, not only was his strength devoured by Xiang, his prided purple fire soul might also be taken from him. Demon! You evil creatures, you will all die a horrible way. The middle-aged man roared crazily, whereas his voice was completely covered by the thick layer of ice. Then Xiang penetrated his hands through the layer of ice and pressed down on the middle-aged man's stomach, crazily devouring everything of him. To this point, Lu Menger had no choice but to refine the power that Xiang gave her. This was in exchange for Xiang's incomparable pain, so she treasured it even more. She knew that she was in debt to Xiang once again, and she didn't know how to repay him in the future. The power of those who survived the 8 nirvana tribulations was extremely profound. Xiang had devoured 10 days in a row. That middle-aged man only had a haggard expression on his face, while no one came during these 10 days. Lu Menger would rather have someone come here to help her than to acquire those power. She cared more about Xiang. The pain he had endured for the past 10 days was clear in her eyes and her soul. I'm fine. Xianxia forced a smile as he saw Lu Menger's eyes filling with tears. Her eyes had cried to red for the past 10 days. Only now did Xianxia know why women were made of water, but the awkward thing was that he was completely naked, because his body would occasionally swell and explode with a burst of energy. Even if he wore clothes, it would shatter, while to release the black tortoise armament armor would block his meridians and impact him on transferring power into Lu Menger. Therefore, Lu Menger had watched every part of Xianxia's body for the 10 days. Although she was very shy, she could not help but look at it because she was worried that an accident would happen to Xianxia at any time. Of course, it was the first time she saw a man who was completely naked. At the beginning it made her very shy, but later on she felt that a man without any clothes was actually that attractive, especially a man she loved. If it weren't for the pain all over his body, Xianxia would definitely tease Lu Menger with some words, but the pain prevented him from assuming that idea.